There's a lot of advice out there on how to do marketing for consultants, and the vast majority of it is either super vague or it takes a huge amount of time and energy and most of the time doesn't work. So in this video, I'm going to show you the specific step-by-step method that I use to get clients for my own consulting business, as well as help my clients install into their businesses. I've seen this work over and over again. It's super predictable and it gets results fast. It's not like posting on social media where you're posting every day for a year and nobody ever sees any of it. If you implement this process that I'm about to show you, you should be getting your first sales calls showing up on your calendar within 3 to 4 weeks. And then from there, it will continue to run on its own and put calls on your calendar every day without you having to do anything. This is literally what's running right now in my business as we speak, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. The way that I'm going to show you is using ads. And the reason that I recommend using ads, hear me out, as long as you have a little bit of money to spend, and it doesn't need to be a whole lot, but if you have some money to spend on ads, it's just so much better than the other ways for a few reasons. One is, and this is as opposed to the other ways that they're telling you to post every day on LinkedIn or send people messages, like cold, unsolicited messages. That's what everybody else is recommending. So I recommend ads for a few reasons. Number one, they're fast. You can get people interested in your product, in your service, using ads very quickly without you having to, if you're doing social media, for example, then you're just posting over and over and over again and hoping that eventually you get some traction. Eventually it catches on. Eventually people start seeing your stuff. The problem is you're posting stuff, but you don't really have any good way to get people to actually see the stuff that you're posting. That's the issue. You just kind of hope that the algorithm pushes it to people, and you don't really have any control over that at all. You don't know if it's going to. Whereas with ads, you actually are paying for that message to get in front of people. It's like having content, but you're paying to get it in front of people so you can have instant results. You can have a big viewership right away. And because you're paying for it, it's predictable over time too. So even if you do the social media game and you create a social media post that goes viral and like everybody's seeing it and you get a whole bunch of views, well, what happens a week from now or a month from now when all of a sudden now it's old, so it falls out of favor with the algorithm, and now you got to try to recreate it, and you may or may not be able to. You might have to do 100 posts before you can find one that got the success of that post. So with ads, it's very predictable. I mean, if you spend, let's say, $100 in ads this week, then, and you get like, let's say you get 10 leads, then if you spend $100 in ads next week, you're probably going to get more or less 10 leads. And then you spend $100 the week after that, and you're going to get more or less 10 leads, right? Or if you spend more, if you spend $200, you're probably going to get more or less 20 leads. Like, it's very consistent, which is really nice. And then also, ads give you credibility. This is something that a lot of people ignore, but if you're going and like spamming people with unsolicited messages on LinkedIn or on email or on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, you're just sending unsolicited messages to them, you have zero standing. Like you just look like a beggar, essentially. I'm not saying it can't work. And the same thing with the social media. Like, I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying that you have this extra obstacle to overcome, that you look like a spammer. You're not painting yourself in a very good light. Again, if you do it really well, then you can overcome that obstacle. But having ads running gives you a certain air of legitimacy. You know, all the biggest companies in the world run ads. So if you run ads, you're associated with them. You know who sends cold messages? Spammers and scammers from India. So, like, which one do you want to be associated with? The big, well-known, legitimate companies that run ads, or the spammers and scammers? Like, that's, and again, not to say that the cold messages can't work. Like, it's worked before on me. If somebody does it really, really well, you can make it work. But the ads, just, you're positioning yourself so much better if you run ads than if you if you do the cold outreach. And also social media. if you're starting out on social media, if you have, let's say you have 100,000 subscribers or something, then social media actually looks good. That's social proof. You got 100,000 subscribers. It makes you look legitimate. The problem is none of us start out with 100,000 subscribers. And so you're starting out with 0. So if you have a small number of subscribers or a small number of viewers or a small number of likes on your post, it has exactly the opposite effect. It makes you look like you're a small timer. Whereas with ads, they can't tell the difference, right? They can't, especially with YouTube ads, which I'm going to get into in a moment. They don't know how many people are watching those ads. They don't know anything about you or your business. They just know that you're legitimate enough that you're running ads. So it's about the best foot that you can possibly start off on if you don't already have a big social media presence. Okay, now I'm going to recommend specifically YouTube ads. If you've been following me, you know that I always talk about YouTube ads, so bear with me, but there's two big reasons here, especially for consulting, that I'm going to recommend YouTube ads. Number one is intent-based targeting. That is, YouTube knows what people are looking for. So if people are looking for to hire somebody, if they're looking for help with their marketing, or they're looking with help with their SEO, whatever it is that you provide, chances are YouTube is owned by Google, and Google knows what you're searching for. They know what videos you're watching. They know what emails you're reading in your Gmail. They know what sites you're visiting in your Chrome browser. They know what you're doing on your Android phone. They know where you're driving using your Google Maps, GPS, etc. They know a lot of information about people, specifically what they're looking for at any given time. So you can put your ad in front of the people that are already looking for what you have to offer. And then secondly is that YouTube ads offers income targeting. If you are, one of the big problems with advertising to kind of a specific niche group, and especially a business niche group, is that there's a whole lot of people that are interested in your service that are not serious people at all. Like if you're targeting business owners, there are a lot of people who have this idea for a business. They've never made a single sale in their entire lives. Or, maybe they sold 1 or 2 widgets to their mom, and they identify as business owners. And so you say, especially with marketing, like, hey, I can help you get clients. Well, if you're after just people that can actually afford to pay you, well, somebody that sold 1 ebook to their mom probably isn't making a whole lot of money from their business. So what you can do on YouTube ads is you can target people based on income level. So I can target the top 10 or the top 20% of income earners. So that could be, by the way, that there's somebody that has never made a sale in their life, but in their day job, they're a doctor, or they're an engineer. So even though they haven't made any sales yet, they can still afford to pay a high ticket price tag. And so maybe I do want to work with that person. So you can target by what they're looking for, and you can target by income. So you filter out all the broke people that aren't able to pay for what you have to offer. Okay, so let me tell you what you should say in your YouTube ads. And I'll start a little document here. Well, I guess it would help if I share my screen. Okay, so first thing is the messaging. What do you actually say in your ads? Now, I have very detailed trainings on this on my channel that you're more than welcome to go and check out, but I'm going to give you the vastly oversimplified version here. First of all, you want to call out who they are. So what kind of person are you talking to? You want to promise the thing they want. And then you want to offer a free resource to get it. Okay, so let me give you some examples to tell you what the heck I'm talking about here. So who they are, what is the sort of person that is qualified to work with you? So for me, for example, I could say, I could start my ad with, if you are a high ticket business owner or a high ticket coach, consultant, or agency owner, for example, that would be who they are. If you are this type of person and you would like to, and then go into the thing they want, and you would like to have clients coming into your business every day on autopilot, that's the thing they want. And then
what's the free resource to get it? I have this free guide where I'm going to walk you through my 5-step method to get clients coming in every day on autopilot using YouTube ads. Right? That's the idea here. So if you do like tax advisory, let's say, you help people save money on their taxes. So you'd say, are you a whatever your target market is? Are you a business owner? Are you a high net worth individual? Are you somebody who makes 200 grand a year or more? And you would like to be paying less money in taxes? Well, click here to get my free guide to the 5 steps that you can take to pay less in taxes. Now, this free resource, by the way, doesn't have to be a free guide. It could be an ebook. It could be a video. It could be a mini course. It could be a spreadsheet, like a calculator. It could be like a free assessment of some sort. It could even be a quiz. Like you can take the quiz to figure out what is the optimal tax strategy for your business. The quiz is kind of cool too, because you actually qualify the person in the quiz. That's part of the process. So figure out who it is that you want to reach. What is the thing that they want that you can help them get? And by the way, there's a flip side to this. The thing they want, it could be a problem that they're trying to get rid of. So back to the tax example, the thing they want is to pay less taxes. Well, you could flip that around and say the thing they want to get rid of is taxes, paying high taxes. Or the thing they want to get rid of is legal liability, for example, right? Whatever it is that you offer that is most relevant to them, that they actually want, like the thing that's the most compelling to them that you can help them get, and then give them a free resource to get it. Now, why do I say give them a free resource to get it? Why not just pitch your service directly? The answer is because if you are a consultant, your job is to essentially give people advice. Now, would you take advice from just anybody? Some random stranger on the internet shows you an ad and all of a sudden, oh yeah, I want to pay thousands of dollars for advice from that guy. Probably not. That person has to prove themselves before you are willing to pay them for their advice. And the way that they prove themselves, the way that you can prove yourself, is by providing an actual value so they can see firsthand the expertise that you have. As Frank Kern would put it, you are proving to people that you can help them by actually helping them. If you can give them a free resource that actually helps them get the thing they want, or at least feel like they're a little bit closer to getting the thing that they want, then they watch that video or they read that free guide or they use the calculator and they're like, oh, this provided a lot of clarity. I feel like I'm one step further in getting the thing that I want. Well, all of a sudden, who was it that provided them that benefit? It was you. And so by doing so, you've proved your expertise and you've showed them that you can help them. And so they're far more likely to want to do business with you in that case because you've proven yourself to them firsthand. Okay, so that's the messaging. And again, I have videos on my channel if you want. I have a method that's in far more detail than this. And by the way, if you'd like me to just build out this entire process for you, that's a service that I offer. I'll put a link in the description if you want to apply for that. And okay, so the next step is a landing page. So, and let me put a little like funnel diagram here. So you got add to landing page. Landing page is just a very simple web page where you are offering them your free thing. So basically, it's a headline and a form. A lot of people like to make these big fancy landing pages with a whole bunch of testimonials and this big long description and maybe a video and like a blurb about you and talking about how amazing you are. What I've found is that actually hurts you. The more stuff you put on your landing page, the less well it performs. I've seen this over and over again. People think, well, I put more stuff, people are going to be more bought in. But no, it's actually the opposite. What I found to work best is just a headline and a form the form which asks for their name, email, and phone number if you want. I generally recommend you do include the phone number because then you can call the person or you can hire somebody to call the person, which gives you yet another contact point in which you can sell them on your service. And the longer forms, I think they don't work because it seems a little weird. You're giving something for free, and then all of a sudden you have this big long page that has all this stuff trying to convince them that they should get the free thing. I feel like it's a little bit incongruent. People see that and like, wait, you're trying this hard to convince me to get something for free? What's the catch here? That's kind of my guess. I'm not entirely sure why that is. But anyway, like lots of experience has told me that short, simple landing pages work a lot better than long, complex ones. Okay, next step is a VSL page. This is, when I say VSL, that means video sales letter. So they've opted in to get the thing. Now, if the free resource is a free training that is in video format, then the free training just becomes the beginning of your VSL. So you deliver the free training, you show them something useful, you get the person nodding their head and thinking, wow, this was really valuable. This guy really knows his stuff. That's the idea. And then at the end of the VSL, that's when you actually pitch your offer. You say, by the way, if you would like me to help you implement this, if you would like personal one-on-one support with me, here's my program that includes this and this and this and this. If you're interested, then click the link below and apply and book a time to talk to me or a member of my team, and we'll see if it's a fit for you. We'll see if we can help you. So your VSL page, then again, very simple here. It's really a headline, a video, a button, which says, click here to apply. That's it. Once and you can kind of measure how effective your VSL page is by how many people are watching the video all the way through, for one thing, and then how many people are actually applying from it. So once they are on the VSL page, they click on apply, then of course they go to an application. An application is just a form with a bunch of questions. Now, the application, there's two types of questions essentially. One is so you understand them better before the call. So you ask them, what kind of situation are you in? What are your goals? What kind of situation would you like to be in? What's the biggest challenge keeping you from being in the situation that you are now to getting into the situation that you would like to be? And then, so that's to understand them. And so you can kind of get an idea of where they're at and have some ideas of what to suggest for them before you're on the call itself. Like before you're under any pressure, you can just read over their application and get an idea of what you're going to tell them. And then the second is to qualify. This second type of question. These are all multiple choice questions. Very important. These have to be multiple choice questions that tell you whether or not the person is qualified to work with you. Now, what makes them qualified or unqualified depends a lot on your type of business. So, for example, maybe you only work with companies that have at least 10 employees. Well, then you add a question saying, how many employees do you have in your company? You do not make this a free-form field because you want to be able to filter on it. You make it a multiple choice field. So you could have less than 10 employees, 10 to 20 employees, more than 20 employees, for example. And then anybody who selects less than 10 employees, you automatically disqualify. They do not go on in the process, and they do not continue on to your calendar because the form has already figured out that they're not qualified to work with you. And this is really important too, because using ads, you're sending back, whenever you get a qualified application or whatever you get a booked call, you're sending that data back to the ads platform saying, hey, I got one, it worked. Send me more people like this. And if the person that it sent was unqualified, then you're sending bad signals back to the ad platform, and the ad platform is going to continue bringing you unqualified people. So it's really important that you qualify here. So this could be, you also probably want to qualify financially in some way. Now, if you ask somebody, how many employees do you have, and they have more than 10 employees, well, chances are they're not hurting for money. If they own a company that has more than 10 employees, you probably don't have to do any further qualification financially. But if you are not asking a question like that, then you might have to. You might have to ask, like, how much money did your business make last month? Or if you don't have any way to ask that, then you could just say, like, look, for full transparency, this program costs whatever it costs. You could say the exact number, or you could just give like a ballpark range. This program costs multi-thousands of dollars. Are you assuming that we would be able to get you XYZ result? Would you be willing to consider, like able and willing to consider making this kind of investment? And if they say no, then they pretty much told you all you need to know. You might as well not waste your time. You just disqualify them. Okay, so that's the application. And then, and by the way, you might have noticed that if you've been through my process, then it's pretty much exactly this. Like my process, I do some consulting. I also do some agency, like some done for you. But either way, it's the same process. Okay, so that's the application. Next step is the calendar. This is just something like calendly.com, which is just an automated software that lets them choose a time to talk with you. Again, only if they qualify. If they do not qualify, then you block them from the calendar. You send them a generic message saying, hey, we received your application. We'll reach out if it seems like a good fit, which actually I like to not discourage them entirely. I don't give them a message saying, hey, you're not qualified to work with me, so bye. Like I don't say that. What I prefer to do is just say, hey, we'll reach out if it's a good fit, because sometimes you'll have somebody that doesn't qualify on the application, but if you go look at the application, you're like, well, that's kind of borderline. You know, this person might actually be able to qualify. So you can have your sales team go and actually talk to that person. So you leave it open for you to be able to continue that conversation if you feel like that person's worth talking to based on the other answers on their application. Okay, so you go to your calendar, something like calendly.com, where somebody can just book a call with you. I'm going to show you what that looks like really quick in case you've never seen that before. So it's just like this. It's a calendar, and I can say, okay, I want to call on Thursday, and I have 10 a.m. available. I'll go 10 a.m., and that's about it. Pretty simple. And then the Calendly, you want to have it redirect to your next page, which is your call confirm page. Here, so the person has already booked, they've already been qualified, and they have already booked a call. Now, your goal with this page, and this is the page that they go to after they book the call, your only real goal here is to get them to show up for the call, and possibly you could prime them for your offer, like get them answer any questions that you can before they actually get on the call, so you can make the best use of your time and get them as excited as possible about your offering and get them to trust you as much as possible. So there's a lot of things that you can do here. One is basically just like encourage them to show up. So what that means specifically is that you tell them, like you walk them through what to do here. So you say, hey, you should have gotten an email with a calendar link. Just go ahead and go to that email and click yes on the calendar, tell me that you're coming, and make sure that it shows up on your calendar. One thing that I really like about Calendly is that it automatically sends a calendar invite to their Google Calendar. So it shows up on their calendar without them really having to add it manually, which is cool. It helps with the show rates. And then so you want to encourage them to show up, and then you just want to share more. So you could put testimonials here. You could put like a tutorial on your method. You could put FAQs, like the questions that people often have about your process that you can answer right here instead of having to answer on your forum. You can also give them an overview of the actual offer. So you say, here's what's included, that you get this and this and this, and here's what you do in week 1, and here's what you do in week 2, and here's what you do in week 3. It's a 12-week program, and by the end of week 12, you'll have this, this, and this in place, right? So you give them like all the details of the offer right there on the call confirm page, so they basically already know what to expect. And now that when you actually get on the call, that whole thing is taken off your plate. Like, you don't have to go over that again, assuming that they remember. I mean, you might have to remind them, but it's definitely making it better for you. And yeah, that's it. So, or no, that's not quite it. I forgot one thing. You also want to set up some email sequences. You want to, for the people that opt in, right? So they fill the form on the landing page. You want to send them emails in case they didn't already book a call with you. And if they did book a call with you, you might want to send them emails anyway. So this could be, so let's say opt-in sequence. And so this could be like, so well, obviously you got to give them the thing, give them the free resource that you promised. If you promise them a free resource and then you don't give it to them, well, that's not going to do you any favors. Oh, and by the way, something I forgot to mention up here is that if your free resource is not a video itself, you still want to have a VSL. You still want to have a video, but what you do is you just reference the free thing in the video, and then you give them the call to action. You say, click here to apply. So for example, if you have a calculator that'll calculate their ad budgets, or for example, then what you want to do in your video is you want to explain exactly how to use the calculator, and then explain why this is important, and explain like what is the logic behind it, etc. Right? Your video is trying to build you up as the expert and make people actually trust you. That's really important. So if it's some free thing like a calculator, then you have to, the calculator itself isn't going to build a whole lot of trust. So your video should fill in for that. It should build the trust. If it's like an ebook or a document, a PDF of some sort, if that's your free resource, then your video could walk them through the document, or could explain the same thing as the document explains, just in video format. If your free thing that you're sending people is something you're emailing, which you always should, even if it's a VSL, even if it's actually a video, that is the free thing, then you still want to send them this email and link back to this VSL page and say, hey, in case you weren't able to watch the video yet, here's the page. You click here to watch the video. Right? So don't assume that people are going to watch your video immediately when they go to your VSL page. Now, because we're advertising on YouTube, the chances of somebody watching your video are significantly higher than almost any other platform, because when they watched your ad, they were already watching videos. You caught them when they were already in the mood and in the setting where they could watch videos. So you're much more likely to get somebody to watch your VSL from a YouTube ad than you are from a Facebook ad. But even still, you don't want to take that for granted, right? You want to send people back to that VSL rather than just give them the one chance and that's it. Now, the same thing if you send them an ebook or you send them a calculator or whatever. If you send them something to their email, then the chances of them actually opening that thing and using it are actually quite small, because you got their interest in the moment, but they're on YouTube. They're not in their email. So when they actually go and open your email, they might have forgotten what it's about. They might have lost interest in it. So that's why, again, the video is so important, because this is available now. It's a video, which they were already watching videos, and they very well may never actually read your ebook or use your calculator. So it's much better to get them to watch the video and build trust with the video. And then if they actually go and use the free resource, then great, but you're not depending on that. Okay, so first you give them the free resource in the opt-in sequence. So you give them the link to the PDF, you give them the link to the video, you give them the Google spreadsheet link that's you're using for your calculator, whatever. Then you introduce yourself. That's usually a good thing. Hey, I'm John. I've been doing XYZ for the last 15 years, and here's some of the clients that I've helped, and here's why you might be interested in me, and like, I'm going to send you some emails over the next few days that I think you'll find valuable, etc. You're introducing yourself. And then for the rest of it, you might want to establish the value of your offer, explain your philosophy, answer some frequently asked questions that people in your niche have, share testimonials or case studies, right? These are all good things to put in your opt-in sequence. In everything here, by the way, everything in your opt-in sequence is pointing people to the application, right? So not everybody that hits your VSL page is going to apply. Ultimately, this is like the biggest bottleneck, is of the people who hit your VSL page, the people that actually opt in, what percentage of them apply? If you've got, let's say, 5% or 10%, that's kind of standard. Well, probably about 10% for an application. If you can get 10% of people to apply, that's pretty decent. Now, if you can, using your opt-in sequence, if you can get that up to 15%, well, that's automatically, I mean, all else equal, that's a 50% increase in your bottom line revenue because you're getting more people to apply. So the whole point of the opt-in sequence is to get people back here, back to the application. Now, you can also do a call confirm sequence. So when the person actually does book a call, then they get removed from this sequence and they get put into this sequence. This sequence is essentially to pre-sell them on the offer. And then how you do that is essentially the same. It's almost the same as this. So you can say, you can have emails with offer details. You can have, again, testimonials and case studies, if I can spell it. You can have FAQs. And FAQs here would be specifically about your program. Like if you have a guarantee, for example, you talk about exactly what the terms are of the guarantee. If you, and this is going to be very specific, like, okay, well, how long is it going to take? For example, how much work am I going to have to put in? How much time of my own effort is this going to take? Do I need to have an LLC set up already? Do I need to have a website? Blah, blah, blah. Like people have all these questions. And also this is like objection handling, which objections and questions are kind of related. If they say, do I need to have a website? That's almost the same. That's for a lot of people, that's kind of the same as saying, oh, well, I don't have a website, so I'm expecting that this isn't going to work for me. So if they don't need a website to be able to work with you, then you want to let them know that, essentially. And then, yeah, and so you send a bunch of these. Once they've already booked a call, they're fairly interested, so you can send quite a few of these. The opt-in sequence, I do 1 a day. The call confirm sequence, I do like 6 a day. And so that's it in terms of everything you need. Like, if you will do this, this is literally everything you need to get high-ticket consulting clients that are coming to you every day on autopilot. I've done this multiple times. It works very, very well. And let me show you the numbers real quick too, actually. So I got a quick little projection sheet here. So let's just put in some kind of like example numbers. So let's say, for example, we spend $20 per opt-in. So this is $20 in ad cost to get an opt-in. This is just an average. So let's say you spend $1,000 and you get 50 leads. Well, then 1,000 divided by 50 is $20, right? So that's where I'm getting that number from. Like $1,000 on ads, you get 50 leads, it's $20 per. And then how many of your opt-ins will actually fill out an application? Let's say that's 10%. And I don't know why Google Sheets does this double percent thing if you put a percent in. I think they'd fix that. And then, okay, of the applications, how many of them actually book a call? This kind of depends on your qualifying. So you'll start to realize that there's a lot of dumb people out there, and you say point blank in your ad and on your landing page and in your VSL, this is for this type of person. Like if you're making 20K or more a month in your consulting business, then click here to apply. And then you get somebody that's making zero and never made a single sale in their life, but they still felt like they wanted to apply. So that's why you got to filter them out, because a lot of people just don't listen. And usually the people that don't listen are exactly the people that you probably don't really want to talk to in the first place. So let's say that you get a bunch of dumb people that don't listen. And so you get a 50% call rate. So of the people who apply, only 50% of them actually go through and book a call. And then let's say of the people that book a call, since we filtered out all the dumb people, let's say we get like 80% show rate. So it's a pretty serious audience. So they know how to like use a calendar, and they know how to actually show up and follow through with their commitments. If you have a B2C offer, like you're doing like weight loss coaching or something, then that number is going to be abysmal. It's going to be way lower. But for a sophisticated business audience that's qualified and like they're already successful in some way, like you're going to get a much better show rate. And then for sale rate, let's say you get like 25%. It's pretty standard. Okay, now we can figure out what are our costs here. So the way we do that is we just say our cost per application is $20, our cost per lead divided by our application conversion rate. So we get $200 per person who applies. And then I'll just drag this down, and that'll show, okay, well, 1/2 of those people who apply are actually qualified and will book a call. So that's $400 that we're paying in ad spend to get one call. And so essentially, again, these are just averages. So you spend $400 on your YouTube ads, you get 2 applications, and you get 1 qualified booked call. Now, in order to get a call that qualified booked call that actually shows up, since 20% of people don't show up, we're going to raise that number a little bit more. Now we're at $500 per call that actually shows up. And then per sale, we close 1 out of 4 of those. And so we got $2,000 is how much we have to pay to get a sale, right? And then let's say our average client value is $10,000, put that in earnings, then we spend $2,000 in ads to make $10,000 in sales. So that's a 5x ROAS. In other words, 5x return on ad spend. We spend $2,000 and we make $1,000 in return. And these are pretty standard numbers. These are not not unusual. This $20 cost per opt-in, your cost per opt-in is going to be variable a lot based on who your target audience is. So for me, for example, my cost per opt-in is about $10 on average. But I serve a lot of different, my intended market is fairly large. If you serve just a tiny little sliver of only this type of business owner, that there's only 10,000 of them in the entire world, then your cost per opt-in is going to be higher. If you could serve just anybody at all, like you build websites, for example, and you can serve any business owner in the world, then your cost per opt-in is probably going to be lower than mine, right? So that's going to be the big variable. And then these conversion rates, they all depend on how well you set up your funnel. So if your VSL is good and you're getting the right people in your opt-in, right? And that's really important to consider. that if you set up your ads wrong, then you can get a whole bunch of leads, but they all suck. They're like, none of them are qualified. That happens a lot. You got to do this right if you're going to get like a good application rate and a good call rate, right? So how good your VSL is, how well you're qualifying, how good your actual ads are themselves. And then of course down here is how good you are at selling over the phone and how good your process was, right? Like if your process has already pre-sold the person and they already know they want to work with you, then it's pretty easy to get the sale. And so your conversion rate is going to be high. Whereas if you get them, maybe you can convince them to book a call and you tell them that, oh, it's going to be a free coaching session. And like you don't build up your program at all, then it's going to be much harder to close those people. And so that's going to be lower. So these numbers are absolutely not set in stone. Those are just kind of typical numbers. You may get much better than this. You may get much worse than this. Now, if you are interested in having me build out this entire thing for you, like build out this entire process that I just went over for you, I've done this many times successfully, including building all the ads, creating the VSL for you, creating the pages, creating the application, setting up the logic, setting up the calendar, setting up the call confirm page, doing all the email sequences. I will build out every single step of this for you. If you're interested, I will put a link in the description where you can apply and book a call with me. Again, basically following this exact same format. This is exactly what I do for myself. I eat my own cooking because it works, and it works consistently. And it's like the wonderful thing about having a process that works with ads is that you have basically an unlimited audience that you just keep running the ad. If the ad worked this week, it's going to work next week. It's going to work the week after that. The only time when that breaks is if something something crazy happens with the market, like there's a big depression or something, or like something crazy happens. Other than that, it just keeps running. It just keeps bringing you clients. And there's really nothing that you got to do to maintain it. It just keeps working on its own. So again, if you'd like me to build that out for you, I'll put a link in the description. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.